Hello and good afternoon everybody, and welcome back once again for another video of DIY investing. Perhaps you guys have already seen this, but yesterday I dropped an updated analysis on XRP on my Twitter. If you haven't seen it, I have a link in the description that will get you to my Twitter page, and there you can go check it out. But I have updated my XRP analysis with cyclical time frames. Now what I noticed was a pattern that's been playing out every single bull cycle that has led to the extreme rises inside of XRP. Up to this point, we follow 1 and 2 year cycles between a bullish move and a bearish move. And so today I'm going to be diving in and giving you guys an updated analysis with XRP. Recently, we've started selling off and we've actually hit my next price target of 20 cents. And so I got filled on a few buy orders, and I figured now would be an excellent time for me to dive in and show you guys exactly what I'm thinking with XRP moving forward. If you're new and just finding this channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and then click the notification bell so that you get updated on any new videos that I upload. Remember guys, I'm still doing a 50% off sale on my pre-sale for my course and signals, so make sure that you guys check that out. Message me inside of the Discord. You can check the announcements channel in my Discord, and that's going to give you guys full details on what to expect with the course, how it works, how to go about payment instructions, and all those sort of things. Right now we've hit over 1,000 members inside of the Discord, so thank you guys so much for the support. It really does mean a lot to me. I mean, I actually just quit my job today, and I'm going to be focusing on YouTube full time because you guys have just been killing it. And so for that, I'm extremely grateful. This has been my biggest passion for the longest time, and it's been the thing that I've wanted to focus all of my time and energy towards. And so today is really the first day of my new life. This is my job, and this is really my passion. I wouldn't even consider it a job, because one thing my grandpa used to always tell me when I was younger was, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. And this is really what I love. I absolutely have so much fun just being able to share you guys my perspective, teach you guys my own specific trading strategies for how I go about investing inside of crypto. And now that I'm actually able to make this my full-time job is really inspiring to me to continue to bust out the best content that I can, just because you guys really do mean the world to me. Just to see all of the positive influences and faces that constantly spread more positivity inside of my community. It really just means everything to me, and I'm so grateful to be able to do this for you guys. So make sure that you click that invitation link in the description of this video, and there you're going to get full access to my Discord server. Alright guys, let's jump right in the video today. So here we are taking a look at XRP on the dollar. Now XRP, for you guys that do not know, is one of my biggest investments for the altcoins, and it's one that I trust more than any of the other altcoins out there, just because of the simple fact it's been a top cryptocurrency in market cap for the last 6 years in running. It is really important to me that we have this kind of bridgeway that connects the current decentralized movement with the current banking financial institutions that we have today. And XRP is a really good chance of really taking a lot of that market cap moving forward, just because of the fact this is really what I view XRP as. I view that XRP as kind of that bridgeway connecting the banking institution to the decentralized movement. And we really need a payment structure that's going to be able to do that. And so, I mean, as of today, if I was a bank and I wanted to send money to somebody in China, whether it be just another institution, we have to go through so many different loopholes just to send that money, to where it becomes extremely costly. And not only that, but it's really inefficient. It's slow. You get lots of taxes, you get lots of fees, and it becomes just almost impossible to make a significant profit doing so. And XRP is really going to bridge that gap between the two institutions of decentralized and then our current centralized systems. And so for me, it's honestly a no-brainer why this is one of my biggest altcoin positions. It's constantly outperformed the majority of the altcoin market, and it continues to do so. And not only that, but I'm a big market cycle analyst, and I love to take a look at these market cycles and analyze them from an emotional psychology perspective. And XRP has one of the most beautiful market cycles that I've ever seen up to this point. And I think that there's a lot of profit potential to be had. Now, for today's video, we're going to be diving in, and I'm going to be sharing with you guys an updated analysis with my overall picture that I have drawn here. Now, for you guys that maybe have not seen this analysis, which would probably be hard to imagine considering a lot of people that followed me came from the XRP community, for you guys that haven't quite seen this analysis, I'm going to briefly touch up on kind of the way that the cycles work. Now, I got into cryptocurrency way back in here in 2016. Would have been the 1st of 2016, about the 1st of spring, I think April of 2016, really right before that summertime. And I got into crypto way back in here, and my problem was I just didn't know what the hell I was doing. And that's kind of the case with the majority of these people. That's my biggest reason for creating this channel. I just wanted to be able to help mentor you guys through the cycles, all of the emotions, all of the crashes and the rises and the extreme gains. And not only that, but the extreme losses, because I know how intimidating it can be for somebody that doesn't know how to quite invest properly inside of the market. And so that's why I made this channel. Now, if we go through here, we're going to take a look at the very first XRP cycle that ever happened. Now, the way the XRP cycles are categorized goes through these parabolic moves, these sharp declines, and then we kind of trend below in this descending resistance for long periods of time before finally the trend changes and we find support, and then that's what really takes us into the next cycle. And so if we take a look here, we can see the three-step equation that I look for, and you could really call it a four-step, but basically we have the parabolic run, right? This is where XRP's price goes extremely parabolic, huge price discovery takes place, and then we end up topping out, right? After we top out, we start this downtrend, and this downtrend is categorized by this descending resistance of this red trend line. And we can see that every time we hit this descending resistance, we get an immediate sell-off. And that happened a number of different times until finally we get a nice volume outbreak, price breaks out of this descending resistance, and we now trend outside of that. Now what happens is we usually come back down and retest this descending resistance, only instead of rejecting and dropping lower, we've already broken this trend line and we now hit it as support, and that's what creates a spring-loaded effect that sends us into our next cycle. And this takes us to the current day cycle inside of XRP. And if we come in here, you guys are going to know kind of what I've been watching for over the last few months. Now we can see that just like the last cycle, the current cycle follows almost the exact same trend. We have a massive parabolic run categorized in these three big impulse waves, and then we top out. And then what happens after that is we get this descending resistance. Every time we hit this descending resistance or this red trend line, we reject and fall lower, and we did this a number of different times until finally prices get a volume outbreak, and then the price itself breaks out of this descending resistance. And now, just like the last cycle, we're in the final phases of this current market cycle, where we're just kind of retesting the previous trend line, which is now going to act as support. And so personally, I think it's likely that we could potentially drop all the way down to about 15 cents. That's my lowest price target. I have buy orders set at 15 cents, I have buy orders set at 17 cents, and I have buy orders set at 20 cents. And we just barely got filled on our 20-cent buy orders, so that's really exciting for me. Got some more XRP, and I'm putting those away for the long hold. These are going to be my long-term bags because I'm really a longer-term investor with these things. And I don't know if you'd call it really investing, but more position trading. I like to hold the majority of trend, and I like to capture the majority of that trend. And so even though if I might see short-term losses, because you got to keep in mind, guys, I started buying at like 40 cents. I had my original buy order set at 30 cents. I accumulated some at 30 cents, bought some at 40 cents, bought some more at 26 cents, and now I just got filled again at 20 cents. Now, I don't know the exact average of that. When it comes time, I'll actually calculate all of that for you, and then we'll figure out exactly where my average entry price is for this. But this is me averaging into a position, and I really don't care about the short-term losses. The majority of my bags are underwater, except for the one that I just barely got filled in. But that's okay, guys. I'm a long-term trend trader, and so I'm not going to be worried about all of the choppy noise in between. Now, with that being said, guys, like I said, we're at the final stages of this correction. Just like the last one where we pierce outside of this descending resistance, we get that breakout, and now we're just kind of consolidating outside, and we're really in our last sell-off. And I don't expect this sell-off to last much longer. We might not even come back down to 15 cents. We might not fill my other two targets, and that is totally okay with me. I mean, if this thing starts impulsing, so be it. I will be a little bit upset I didn't get I will be a little bit upset I didn't get to accumulate more at cheaper prices, but I'm really not stressing it because I have paid a lot of attention to this market cycle, and I've done my due diligence by accumulating quite a significant portion of XRP. Now, this takes me to the next part of my video. This is the updated analysis that I wanted to share with you guys. And what I've discovered is that XRP follows cyclical time frames. Now, what exactly is a cyclical time frame? A cyclical time frame is just a market cycle that goes based off of a time frame perspective. And I'll explain exactly what I mean here. Let's get my line tools out. Now, what I've noticed inside of XRP is the fact that every reversal that we have comes just before or after the new year. And so let's go through here and actually analyze where all of the new year begins. So our first cycle topped out, and let's go to January 1st of 2015. It'll be right there. And we'll make this red. The tops will make red, and then the bottom reversals will make green, because that was a good buy signal. We can see that almost at the very, very top of our original market cycle, our very first impulse, we saw a reversal. It took place. Now, it started selling off just a little bit before that, but it's a really strong resemblance that shows just how close we were before that new year. Now, this takes us to the next one. Now, our next one is going to be a year from now, so that would be January 1st, 2016, which would be about right here. Now, this is where it's going to vary a little bit. It's not every single year that we experience a reversal, but we see a reversal in the span of 1 to 2 years. And so let's go 2 years down the line. Let's go January 1st of 2017, which would put us right here. Now, this one's going to be green because this was a buy zone. This was our buy signal. Now, keep in mind, guys, just similar to the last cycle, we bottomed and got a reversal just after January 2017. And so this is what I mean when I say 1 to 2 year cycles. Generally speaking, we have these this one was only about 6 months, and if I pull up a trading plan tool with the date, you guys are going to know a little bit better of what I was talking about. From the bottom of capitulation to the new year was about 182 days, so 6 months exactly. Now, the reason why this one's going to difference itself a little bit from the rest of the group is because this was at a time where the market cycle was very premature. And so it didn't quite have nearly the same amount of money that it has now. The cryptocurrency market at the time was very undervalued, and so it took less amount of money to create a sizable impulse. And so this is where it's going to be a little bit different. But now this takes us to the current cycle. So January 1st, 2017 was roughly the bottom, and then we started a brand new bull cycle. Now, let's go through and label January 1st of 2018. Where would that put us exactly? Well, it would put us right here, and then we'll make this one red because this was the top of the last cycle. January 1st, 2020 was the very top of the XRP cycle at $3.80 approximately, right around that range, right? And so we can see this pattern starting to play out, where we have these big parabolic runs categorized by a year time. Now, the last one was 6 months, the very first cycle that we had, but this one was roughly a year. This bull run lasted roughly a year's time frame. Even though it had one final sell-off, we can see that the majority of this uptrend lasted about a year. Now, this takes us to the current cycle, right? We topped out in 2018, and then we started our bearish trend. Now, remember, guys, it doesn't happen in every single year. It happens in 1 to 2 year increments. And so what I've found, based off of analyzing XRP's market structure, is the fact that the bull runs generally last anywhere from about 6 months to a year's time. I think that the only reason this one lasted 6 months was just because it was a very premature cycle. Whereas this one had a lot more money coming into it, there was a lot more adoption taking place, and there was a lot more retail FOMO in this time. And that's why it lasted a year's time frame, is there was a lot more money flooding into it. Now, once the cycles top out, we have a 2-year bear market, approximately. Keep in mind, this one lasted a tiny bit longer. This one would be about 60 days longer. But it still shows that we have roughly the same sort of symmetry. So we have these 1-year bull cycles followed by these 2-year bear cycles where price just declines below this descending resistance, right? Now, this takes us to the current cycle. Now, a year ago would have put us at the 1st of 2019, which would have been about right here. But remember, guys, the bear cycles last 2 years. So let's go to January 1st of 2020. Where is that going to put us? That puts us about right here. So let's label this green because this is the way that the cycles have worked thus far. We can see here that just similar to the last cycle, we had another 2-year decline in price, right? This was a 2-year bear market. And we're almost at that 2-year cycle. We've got about half a month until the new year of 2020. And that's why I'm such a bull on XRP. The fact that it follows these cyclical time frames almost identically compared to the last cycle, not only is the time frame almost identical, but the market structure itself looks almost exactly the same. There's really no difference here. I mean, the way that it accumulates underneath this trend line looks exactly the same. There's really no difference in my eyes. And that's why I'm such a big bull in XRP. That's why I've been accumulating so many XRP, is because I see the signs, these early signs of major accumulation taking place. I see an early market cycle that has played out 2 different times in years past and is looking for another third bullish cycle. And that's why I think that we're really close to heading to that point, and why I'm really personally just accumulating as much of this as I can. Whether we go a little bit lower or whether we start impulsing here very soon, I literally could care less at this point because I'm such a long-term investor when it comes to these things. Now, your guys' long-term investment strategy might be completely different than mine. I know some people are planning to hold 5 to 10 years, but me, I'm not really looking to do that. I might keep a really small amount of my portfolio to hold for the long term, maybe 15 to 20% tops. But I'm looking to maximize my profit potential by accumulating this dip and then selling out into the hype. Because at the end of the day, I have no idea exactly how high this is going to go. I will share with you guys my price targets, but I really could be completely wrong on all of this, and I totally accept that. And you guys should too. If you watch my analysis, you should know and expect me to be wrong about things. Now, all I can do for my personal strategy is share with you guys what I'm doing. That's it. That's all I can do. I can share with you guys my own analysis. I can show you guys the signs of the cycles and how I base my strategies upon my opinions. And you guys have to do it your own due diligence to kind of make your own profits. You can follow my course in signals, but at the end of the day, guys, you got to remember that if you're watching my channel and you're watching my videos, you got to take it with a grain of salt because you really have no idea what is going to happen in this cycle. I could be totally wrong, and that's fine. I've already accepted the fact that I can be wrong because I've been wrong in times past. I have made money trading and investing into cryptocurrency, but at the end of the day, you got to be willing to make mistakes and take losses. But with that being said, I can say without a doubt that I'm more confident about this XRP cycle than almost any of my other altcoin bags, which is why I've put so much more faith into these ones performing well, specifically XRP. Now, really, guys, this takes us to the current cycle. We're very close to that new year of January 1st, 2020. We could see some short-term consolidation outside into the new year and potentially even to that early spring mark. But for the most part, I don't know exactly how that's going to play out. Right now, we're still retracing. I think that we're going to see a little bit more downside. I've got my next 2 buy orders set at 17 cents and 15 cents, looking to get filled on those. Really hopeful that I will do so because I'd love to accumulate more at these cheaper values. Because what's going to come is a very strong impulse. Now, let's draw the next year cycle. Let's say we follow similarly to the last cycle and we have a year-long bull run. That will take us to 2021, which would be about right here. And we'll label this one red because that would theoretically be the top of the next cycle. And so kind of what I'm watching for right now is I think that we have real potential to see something along the lines of this. Let's say we drop down to about 17, 15 cents, right around that range. We kind of consolidate here. And then we get our first major impulse. And that takes us up here. Then we kind of consolidate here. And then we have our final bull cycle up higher. Now this is going a lot higher than my price targets that I have. Let's drop it down a little bit. Let's do something like this. Before we have one more, which would take us to my final target of about 28 bucks. And that's kind of what I'm watching for. Something along the lines of this. Now, I'm not trying to map this out specifically, and I'm not trying to make it 100% perfect. I'm just briefly sharing with you guys kind of how I expect the cycle to play out. Now, there are a few differences that I want to share with you guys, and a few opposing perspectives that you should consider with looking at this analysis and watching me right now. Now, this cycle that I have mapped out here, this price projection, this only goes based off of the previous cycle that we had. Now, you got to keep in mind, guys, that no 2 cycles are ever going to be exactly the same. But the fact that we've had such symmetry between the 2 cycles already leads me to believe that there's a higher probability that this cycle could continue to repeat the way it has. Now, an opposing perspective that you should consider is the fact that if we go and take a look at the all-time graph of Bitcoin, let's go drop it to a log scale. I want to share with you guys something that's been happening. Now, let's pull up our curve, and let's get a long-term trend line going here. Because this is going to more clearly explain kind of my thoughts and analysis moving forward. Now we can see here that we have this long-term linear trend, right? Now what I've noticed over this trend is the fact that the trend itself continues to get a smaller ROI, and the trend lasts a lot longer, right? We can see here that the parabolic runs get less and less significant, and the time between the two cycles gets longer. And if I pull up a trading plan tool, you're going to see kind of what I mean here. We can see that this one lasted about 322 days, so almost a year. The next cycle lasted about 735, so about 2 years. And this one lasted about 847. So we can see here that the time frames between each cycle is continuing to grow longer. Now, let's say that we have, the last cycle was 875 approximately. So that would take us all the way to May 3rd of 2021. Now, assuming that this trend and pattern continues to play out, theoretically we'll have a much longer trend. Let's say we get closer to about 1,000 days, or maybe even 1,200 days, because that could definitely happen, guys. We could see a 4-year cycle, and that would take us all the way to about 2022. Now, I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't know if we're going to have a full 4-year cycle. My guess is it'd be closer to about 1,000 days. That seems a little bit more realistic to me, which would put us to, about the fall of 2021. And I think that we should see more of a stabilization as we continue on in this parabolic trend. We can see that the parabolic runs get less significant. The time frame between each cycle gets longer. And so I would expect that this trend is going to continue to play out as follows. Now, with that being said, how is that correlated to XRP? Well, in the last cycle, Bitcoin accumulated about 850 days. Let's say that we go even longer than that, and we go to, let's say that we go to about 1,000 days time between this cycle. That would mean that theoretically XRP would actually accumulate longer, and we'd have a little bit of a longer cycle. And that's something that I'm watching for. Now, in the case of us maybe making a 1,200 day cycle inside of Bitcoin, we could have the possibility, and my date doesn't even go that far, but we could have the possibility of another 2-year cycle. Something along the lines of this. We could see a bull run that lasts approximately 2 years, and it would make sense to me that this is a very logical explanation and a possibility that we could consider, considering the fact that there wasn't a lot of money inside of the market back in 2017. And even though we did go up to these multi-billion-dollar market caps inside of XRP, the next cycle is going to see trillions, in my opinion. I do believe that, and that's why I have a price target drawn of $28. And for XRP to hit that, theoretically, we would have to have a market cap of about $2.8 trillion. And a lot of people watching this are going to say, well, you're an idiot. It's never going to happen. I've had so much haters talk down upon my analysis just because they think that I don't understand that $2.8 trillion could go into these markets. But you guys got to remember, this is a global financial revolution. It's not just America. It's not just China. It's not just these little governments. This is a global thing that's happening. And these are multi-trillion-dollar companies that have all of these trillions of dollars that they can start deploying and start using through XRP. And there's going to be those haters that always make the argument, well, XRP is just a token, they're not going to use that, when in actuality there are plenty of companies that are already actively using XRP. And that number is only going to continue to grow. It's going to happen, they're going to transact using XRP, and so the people that are hating on this right now are either A, they just don't understand what XRP is, they don't understand Ripple, they don't understand the infrastructure that they have built. B, they're just emotional investors that bought the top of the last cycle and crashed and they lost all their money, and so they're just angry at the world. And so these are really the two options that I'm watching for. Like, that's usually the way that the market cycle works. You're seeing right now so much hate amongst the XRP community, really not amongst the XRP community themselves, but people attacking the community because they just see downside. They see, oh, well, XRP hasn't even made a higher high. A lot of the altcoins pumped when Bitcoin did. XRP continues to downtrend. And I'm sitting here in my own thought process, and I'm thinking, hell yeah, I'm accumulating more. It's going lower. All these other ones already went up. I'm just buying as much as I can. And so my perspective is a lot different than the rest of the market. And that's really the reason why I've been able to profit investing inside of cryptocurrency. Now, a lot of the people that follow me are from the XRP community, And what I've noticed is the XRP community is the biggest community out there. They're the most positive community. They are the people that are very, very die-hard with the longevity of XRP and really what Ripple is doing in general. And I'm very passionate about this idea of XRP, and I'm more passionate about the profit potential. Let's be honest. Like, I am 100% looking at this based off of price because I want to make money for myself. I know that XRP is going to be one of the better performing altcoins because history tends to repeat itself. Now, with that in mind, if history continues to repeat itself, why are you not investing in one of the best performing altcoins over the last 6 years? What exactly is detouring you from that? Is it because price is declining? Because you got to remember, if you're here for the longevity of these things, there's so many more factors that go into this besides price. One being all of the active development and the partnerships that are taking place inside of the Ripple ecosystem. There's many big corporations and institutions that are starting to use and adopt Ripple, the XRP tokens, and then they're joining the community of Ripple and what they have built. And so for me, it's a no-brainer why I'm investing in this stuff. Now, there is the possibility that we could kind of see something a little bit different. Maybe we see a little bit of a longer trend where we see XRP, have this big 2-year cycle. And don't look at the price targets because that's not important. I'm just mapping you guys out what I think could happen from a time frame perspective. Now, even though this shows it going to over $100, I'm not saying it's going to go to $100. I'm just mapping out kind of how it could look potentially on a 2-year cycle time frame, because we could see something a little bit different with this cycle. Since Bitcoin itself is showing that the cycles are becoming less parabolic and the time frame between the cycles is getting longer, I would assume that the majority of the rest of the altcoin market is going to continue to follow suit to that. Now, we could still see the same cycle as previously, what we experienced in the last cycle, or we could see something a little bit longer. And that's something that we should all be paying attention for and be wary for, because at the end of the day, nobody knows. All I can do with this channel is share with you guys my perspective, show my analysis and kind of how I've based my conclusions. And so that is why, to me, I'm going to be holding this stuff for the majority of the trend, because we could see something really strong and parabolic, and when the time comes, I'm going to know what's kind of how the cycle is going to play out, right? If we start to see some immediate impulses similar to what we saw back in 2017, I'm going to know that this is most likely going to be a shorter lived cycle, and maybe it's only going to last a year. But if we get something a little bit longer where we have a sharp increase in price and we take a lot longer to consolidate between pumps, then I'm going to start to weigh my analysis, and I'm going to start to make the conclusion that, hey, potentially this could be a 2-year bull run, whereas previously I thought it would only be a year. And these are all things that you got to consider when it comes to time frames. Now, I've never been a big time frame trader, but what I've seen in XRP in this market structure is an uncanny resemblance to the last cycle based off of market structure alone. But not only that, but cyclical time frames line up with this cycle almost identically. For whatever reason, the new year is a very strong time for reversals. People are taking profits. People are taking investments and dumping them back into the market at low points. And so we got to continue to watch out for these new years as a possibility that we can see a strong reversal. The fact that we're so low in this market cycle, let's actually pull up our trading plan tool and see exactly how much we've declined in price. From the top of the cycle to where we're currently sitting, we've declined almost 95%, 94.5%. Many of the other altcoins have not done that. Many of the other altcoins already started a minor uptrend, right? XRP is the one that's continued to kind of sell off. And it's for that reason that there's an extreme amount of fear inside of this market. I think that that's why I've been receiving so much hate for talking about XRP. Why I'm sure a lot of you guys that maybe talk about it on Twitter have seen the same reaction from your peers. And it's because we've continued to sell off. But it's for that reason that I am buying more of it than any other altcoin. Because if I bought from where I bought today at 20 cents to the all-time high, is a 17x return. Like, where are you're not going to find that in the majority of the other majors, especially not Ethereum, not Litecoin, not Binance Coin, not any of these other major altcoins. You're not going to see the same sort of risk to reward ratio. Now, a lot of people looking at this are going to say, well, it's way too risky because it's only gone down. What are you basing your analysis on? You're a fool for even thinking that it's going to go up. When all I see right now is a major support cluster, and we're just retracing into that. That's all I see. I saw a massive parabolic run. I can see that the cycle from the current cycle and the last cycle are almost identical. And so for me personally, there's enough analysis, there's enough backing my analysis that I personally am very confident in my investment moving forward with XRP. And so this is really the video I had for you. I just wanted to talk about a couple different perspectives based off of time frames. Will we see a 1-year bull market or will we see a 2-year bull market? Drop a comment and leave your guys' own opinions and why you think so. And I'd really like to get back to that and just kind of hear your own perspective with things, because at the end of the day, this community was built so that we could help each other. And that's really what I want out of this. I just try to be the most positive, uplifting influence that I can and bring that energy every single video, because at the end of the day, anybody that's investing in crypto right now is going to make life-changing amounts of money. And if you trust the process, you trust the long-term trend, you don't sell early, you're going to be that person riding out all of that profit potential 1-2 years down the line from now. And in fact, it's probably going to be less than that. I wouldn't be surprised over the next 6 months we start seeing major bullish movement inside of the altcoins. And not only that, but Bitcoin. And so if you're watching this right now and you've got money invested and you're feeling really scared about what's going on, hold through. You'll be rewarded for holding through the trend. I promise. It's one of those things that it's very emotional when you're not very experienced with what's going on. But a year down the line, you're going to be so grateful that you did so. You're going to be grateful that you left your emotions out the door and you were just present within yourself. And you had a trading plan and you stuck to that trading plan, because that's all that matters. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for tuning in today's video. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. Click the invitation link in the description to get access to my Discord server. Remember, I'm still running a 50% discount on my video course and signals. You guys are definitely going to want to check that out. I've spent a ton of time developing my course with a lot of good informational videos that detailedly explain all of my personal trading plans, all of the things that I know and use to profit inside of cryptocurrency. And so I know that you guys will find great value in checking that out. So click the invitation link to get access to my Discord server. Click the announcements channel in my Discord, and there you're going to be able to get full understanding of what my course offers and how it works and how you can set it up. With all that being said, guys, I will catch you in the next video. As always, peace out.